All right. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whatever time it is when you hear this message, I pray that you're poised to receive, to accept, and to respond to words of wisdom. Ashe. So as of late, I have been weighing in heavily on the ongoing conversation on the relationship between African people and Hebrews. And in the process, I've been really treated to a refresher course in the mental instability of a lot of our people. And I hate to say it that way, but I don't want to dance around it. A lot of our people are mentally ill, you know what I mean? And we need some acknowledgement at the very least. We need to recognize that this isn't just a matter of a difference of opinion, but there's an underlying imbalance in some of the things that we're saying. And the ways I have experienced it, you know, because it's been a while, right? It's been a while since I engaged with certain sectors of the population, of the Black population, right? I mean, in the sense that, as I mentioned in another video, I came of age in the late 80s. And so the Afrocentric movement was at its apex when I was in my late teens, early 20s. And I was in Washington, D.C. at Howard University, like at the time. And so I was, you know, up to my eyeballs in these conversations about the original man and the, you know, the African diaspora and all of that was, you know, it just predominated so much of our conversation, even in the mainstream. It was more widely, you know, discussed. And as I said before in another video, if you've seen it, things really quickly stopped making sense for me. So I disengaged from the conversation and I put my attention on things that were more reasonable and more verifiable and resonated more with reality from my perspective, which is we are West African people and we have predominantly West African derived culture, and our lifestyle is more aligned with West Africa than anything. Okay. And when I say we, I mean African Americans and Jamaicans and Panamanians and Brazilians, etc. It's like once you start bumping shoulders with other Black people from around the world, the similarities are overwhelming, right? There's some real differences, but the similarities are unbelievable. From the way we look to the way we move to the foods that we eat, etc. It just becomes undeniable. So because of that, I lost interest in the whole, you know, conversation about who were the Dravidians and who were the Ainu people of Japan and the original Black samurais and all that kind of stuff. But lately, as I've been, you know, weighing in on this conversation in the wake of everything that's going on with, you know, folks like Kyrie Irving and Kanye and all that, I'm like, refresher course, man. These cats are off the wall. They're off the wall. We have a basic premise that because 2 million years ago, the original people who blanketed the earth were Black, then all Black people are all those people. And we're all the same as a result. And so you can pick and choose and claim and be a part of any group of people that is dark-skinned. You can claim them all, and you are just automatically that. And it's so insane that one guy is telling me that Black Mexicans reverse colonized Africa and brought Black people to Africa. Cuckoo. Absolute madness. Right? Above and beyond the whole Olmec nonsense. You know, there's like, we've gone so far. And the reason why I'm terming it this way, I know it hurts a lot of people's feelings. I know it's inflammatory. I know some people feel like these are fighting words. But like I said, I came along from back in the day. And what some of you guys have done with the research and the dedication of scholars like Dr. Ben, like George G.M. James, like Chancellor Williams, like Jacob Carruthers, the work that you have, the things that you have done with the work of Cheikh Anta Diop, it is shameful. It's embarrassing that you all took all of that really good research and you reduced it down to those silly debates where it's just a circus and you just having a competition to see who can make the most outrageous and ridiculous claims and string it all together with bubblegum and shoestring. It is embarrassing that that's the best that you could do, especially in this day and age where you have access to so much information. The research that y'all are calling yourselves doing, these are guys who are talking about genetics research. This guy can't string together 3 sentences with proper grammar and spelling. This is if you put a petri dish in this dude's hands, he would have a nervous breakdown. You brought him into a real lab where he had to do a research on genetics over a 5-year period. This guy would end up committing suicide. You don't know anything about genetics. You don't know anything about genetics. You got these people who are out here running this nonsense rhetoric about the Hebrews over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. You keep talking about this Mickey Mouse story about Hebrews based on some alternative interpretation of the Bible and the Torah and all that kind of stuff, and inserting us. These people talking about the United States as Egypt based on their new reading of the Bible. You know what I'm saying? It's just ridiculous. That is a shame. That's an embarrassment that you've taken that research that those brothers put in, those decades of work that those brothers put in, and you reduce it to these kind of outlandish and shameful claims just to get a little bit of attention, knowing that you flunked your 8th grade history class, and obviously you never recovered basic research technique. You don't even know basic, history. A guy is on my Facebook page the other day telling me that Gaspar Ñanga founded Mexico City in the 16th century. What kind of nonsense is that? Mexico City, Tenochtitlan, was founded 1,000 years before Gaspar Ñanga was even born. And Gaspar Ñanga was an African who was brought to Veracruz, Mexico, in the 1600s and founded one little maroon colony with one of 20, 30 other maroon colonies in the region. Gaspar Ñanga never went to Mexico City a day in his life. And this guy is just talking loud and wrong, calling me everything but a child of God in broad daylight. And I'm thinking, this guy does not speak Spanish, has never been to Mexico. He's reading fourth-hand information about Ñanga, and he doesn't just know basic history, which would disallow him from making these ridiculous claims. But this is the problem. This is why I'm saying what I'm saying. If I just go through my mind and I start telling you the kind of nonsense that these guys are saying and their points of reference for this stuff, it reflects, it's not just that they're not smart. It isn't just that they're not smart. They're not. But the real problem is that what they're doing is they're trying to compensate for a severe disassociation from reality. They have a deeply seated self-hate. And this is where I'm coming around to the essence of the real lesson here. In all of these conversations, once they start talking nonsense and their intellectual, value of what they're saying is proven to be completely invalid and baseless, then they start to resort to the real essence of it, which is one person may refer to me as some kind of an African booty scratcher. And I'm thinking, wow, you went all the way back. And I laughed and said, well, I'm not sure what you mean, because I'm from California. I'm born and raised in California. My mother is is from the Mississippi Delta. My father's from Louisiana. I am at least 4 generations African American. So I'm not telling you what I'm telling you based on the fact that I'm biased against African Americans. I am African American. Another guy he comes back and oh, you're a demon. What you do, you devil worshipers, and you burn hellfire, and the Lord is going to come down. The God of the Olmec and the Lord of the Cherokee, the great God of Israel, and the Moors are going to come together and smite you, demon. I swear, and there I post them so you can see the craziness. These guys have a mental, it's a disturbance, but it's coming out of trauma. It's coming out of pain. It's coming out of suffering. They don't know how to resolve it, right? And so the raw emotion of it comes out when their pseudo-intellectual storytelling is taken apart. And that's the part that I really want to address. I know that underneath all this running to the Olmecs, to the Moors, to the Cherokees, to the Egyptians, to the Hebrews, all of that is because of self-hate, right? It's because of self-hate. And you really, truly believe that you're going to have true value. It's just like wearing Louis Vuitton or wearing Gucci or whatever the designer stuff of the day is. You really believe that you who in your Africanness, because you have no value as such, if you put on enough of the white man's or the somebody else's identity, then you're going to finally be free. You're going to finally be worth something. You'll be cleansed. You'll be safe, and that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You're never, ever going to get the kind of fulfillment that you need from running from yourself, right? Our people were brought into this country as slaves. Don't come telling me about those 3 ships that crossed the ocean over an 800-year period from the year 600 AD to, don't tell me that. Don't try to tell me that those little sprinkles of people who came over here are the original black people of this land. There's 40 million black people in the United States of America. We ain't all come from no 2 survivors who lived, right? We're 40 million here. There is at least 3 times as many black people south. You're talking about all of South America, all of Central America, all of the Caribbean. There's at least 3 times more. There's 100. I'm going to say there's a good 100 million black African people in the Americas, outside of the United States. All of those people are not the offspring of however many ships you imagine came over here from Africa before colonization. That is madness, right? We came here as a result of warfare. We fought, we lost, and we got captured. We got to accept that. You got to move on from that, right? Now, for us in the diaspora, what we know is that something kept us alive. Something gave us strength. Something allowed us to rebel. Something allowed us to go and establish independent societies like Nyanga, right? Like Haiti, like Suriname, and all the different maroon colonies everywhere in the United States. Everywhere we have maroon colonies. And even the people who didn't live on maroon colonies were able to retain their identity somehow, which is why we have our own culture here in the United States, right? And a big part of that was religious. We didn't go out into the woods and practice Shabbat. We weren't out there doing Shabbat Shalom in the woods when we were having our meetings and revivals. We run off from the plantation and go out and call upon, whatever that they doing with, the Hebrew tradition. We weren't going out there and calling on Zoroaster. We weren't going out there into the woods and and bringing down the different, netters of the, man, we were going out there and calling on our ancestors. We were going out there and invoking the Orisha. We were going out there and calling upon the Vodun. That's what gave us the wisdom and the power and the intelligence and the will and the courage to go and fight and win and survive and innovate and transform our situation. It was our West African heritage that allowed us to create a unique position in the world today. The thing that makes us special and unique and stand out in a crowd everywhere that we go is our West African root. You need to claim that and own that and be proud of that. Forget about all of this trying to just integrate and graft yourself into things that aren't for you. I'm reminded of an anecdote that everybody, I'm sure, is familiar with. A lot of people are familiar with, where Minister Farrakhan shares this anecdote where he was talking to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad during the Civil Rights Movement, and, the difference between the Nation of Islam and the SCLC, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, was that, the Christians wanted to integrate. And Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, why you want to go where you're not wanted? Don't go where you're not wanted. Obviously the white man doesn't want you eating in his establishment. Obviously the white man doesn't want you to sleep in his hotel. Obviously the white man doesn't want you to work in his company. Obviously the white man doesn't want you to buy houses in his neighborhood. Let him have all that. Forget that. Build houses in your own neighborhood. Build restaurants in your own neighborhood. Establish hotels and businesses in your own community. Make them as nice as you would like them to be, and forget about what the white man is doing. Well, I say the same thing to my people about all this other, Hebrew, Olmec, Cherokee. Those people don't want you. Those people don't want you. They're not claiming you. They're not clamoring to bring you into the fold. Every time you look up, they're saying, nope. The Indians, the Cherokee, the Native Americans, and whatever they call the 5 civilized tribes, but they're creating criteria to exclude you, as are all these other groups of people, in which I don't criticize, because, I don't believe that we belong in those places either. I agree with them, to be honest. I am not a Hebrew. I'm not an Olmec. I'm not a Cherokee. I'm not an Egyptian. I am a West African, right? Mende, Bamileke, Yoruba, Efon, Efik, you name it, I got it. I'm all of that. I'm all of that. And as such, that's what makes me, as I said, a special kind of a person. But I don't have to graft myself onto these other people's world and make, all this be penalized. You see, I keep coming back to this fact that when you look particularly what's going on right now with Kyrie and Kanye, because that's what kicked all this off, these people are being penalized, and they're paying directly hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, but then they're losing scores of millions of dollars, 10, 20, 30 million dollars. They're losing, being punished by these people who you say you want to be. See, you're not having all that within the African world. Nobody's penalizing you for claiming your African heritage. Nobody's penalizing you for coming out with your DNA and saying, "Hey, this is who I am." Nobody is penalizing you for that in the African world. So I really want to ask my people to do what's good for yourselves. First of all, start with examining who taught you to hate yourself. Who taught you to fear the voodoo? Who taught you to fear Orisha? Who taught you to fear your ancestors? Who taught you that everything African is negative and terrifying? Who taught you that? Where'd you get these ideas? Where are the examples that you can draw of African people practicing indigenous African religion and culture, where they go out and pillage and destroy whole other civilizations? Go find all the examples of where Africans have done something that was so deplorable and so terrible that you should be terrified of them. Find those examples. You're not going to find them. And so as you start to look and you don't find, now it becomes important and realistic for you to start to ask yourself, where am I getting these ideas from? Where am I getting these biases from? What is it that I'm really running from? And what is it that I'm running to? Right? And so that's my lesson for today, y'all. That's what I got. And I really hope and pray that you got it. And when I say you, I mean the leaders, because I am looking for leaders. I'm always looking for leaders. I'm in search of people who want to transform the world through positive influence. If you're one of those people, then you find out how Obafemi Origunwa and the Orisha Lifestyle Academy can help you take your practice and your life to the next level. Visit me at obafemio.com or orishalifestyle.com, and let's start working together to help you live the medicine that will heal your life and heal the lives of those who you are destined to serve. I am looking forward to working with you. Until then, bye for now. Odabo.